Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here for another this and that video. And if you're new to my channel, these videos are basically a vlog that I do talking about the very many things that are going on, updating you on some different projects or things I've been trying, or showing you some new experiments that I'm coming up with, and also to lead you back to some videos showing how I make some of the various things I'm going to be talking about. I was going to start off with the banana mint vinegar, but I have a certain order I'm going to go with here, even though this is in the main title. I want to start off first with the fermenting and making natural sodas. So what I have going on right here is when we had our last family get together, I like to stock up on Costco. They carry organic lemonade for a really good price. And I'll buy that, I can get it online, and you can get 2 containers for like $6, I think it is, and free shipping if you order enough of the 2-day to get the free shipping. But anyway, silly me, I opened 2 of them at the same time instead of just 1, and I don't know why I did it. And usually we only go through 1 even when there's quite a few people there. So I had this open container of lemonade that I was afraid was going to go bad. And so what I did was, just last night, I stuck it in a half-gallon jar right here, and I added to it my fermentation starter. So I have a lot of videos about using the fermentation starter and many ways to do it. What I'm going to do is link to the video down below that is the most thorough. It's the longest one, so if you're wanting something short and sweet, I do have another one on about how to make one. But I'd rather you watch the more thorough one because it will answer a lot of questions you'll probably have. And so it'll actually be shorter if you do it that way than having to watch all the videos to get all your questions answered. This is one that I started off as a berry fermentation starter, and I've been converting it to be a pineapple mango starter so that it has less color to it. And the color's been, as I keep adding to it, the color will get more and more pale. And that way when I use it in certain things where I don't want that color in there, then I don't have to worry about that. So I'm trying to get a more neutral color like I have in this starter right here. This one was made with dandelions and red clover. So yes, you can use herbs. You can use just about anything to make a fermentation starter. And again, if you're interested in how to make it and the many ways that you can use it, how to refresh it, and so on, go ahead and check out that video down below. But anyway, by adding that to the lemonade, which is you want to put in for a half-gallon, you want about a half cup. For a quart, you're going to put in a 1/4 cup. That's a pretty easy way to remember it, of your fermentation starter. So what will happen is by day 3, this will be very, very fizzy, just sitting out here on my counter. And once it gets to that point, then I'll stick it to the refrigerator. Some people believe that sticking something that's fermented or fermenting into the refrigerator will stop the fermentation process. This isn't true. It will slow it way down, but it doesn't stop the process. So if you're trying to prevent it from turning into wine, you'll want to work through this right away within a few days, really, because even in the refrigerator, it'll keep getting more fermented and get stronger, but it does slow it way down. Same thing applies to your starter. If you put it in your refrigerator and forget about it, it will eventually work through all that sugar, it'll turn to wine, and then eventually it'll get to a point where it can't be recovered. Anyway, and I also have more videos on taking juice and turning it into a natural soda. I have several, including using homemade apple cider and making your own sparkling cider out of. All right, well, now from there, since we're talking about fermenting, let's go ahead and move on to the vinegar. So right here, what I just started yesterday is another batch of this one is rose flowers, nasturtium flowers, and marshmallow leaves. And this is the vinegar I make for washing my hair with. And that's what I washed my hair with today. This is just the newest one I got started. But here's a picture right here showing the last batch, or 2 batches actually, that I had finished and that I'm currently using to wash my hair with. I use it as a wash And then every now and then I'll use my homemade shampoo, and when I do that, I'll still follow it up with the homemade vinegar because it is a natural conditioner, especially when you're adding things like aloe vera or marshmallow roots or marshmallow leaves like I did with this one. But anyway, I really like using the nasturtium flowers and the rose petals because they add a beautiful color to it. The nasturtium flowers are really good for promoting hair growth, whereas the roses and the marshmallow leaves, flowers, and roots are really good at conditioning your hair. Some other good ones are calendula and lavender. There's all kinds of different flowers you can use when you're making your vinegar as for the purpose of using on your hair. You can use any of your homemade vinegars for washing your hair with, but I do have ones that I make dedicated for hair, where other ones are more dedicated for using in cooking, baking, and so on. So that finally brings me to the banana mint vinegar. Now here's the funny thing about this was, some of you have been following me for a while know that it took me a while to finally get brave enough to just go ahead and try the banana peel vinegar, simply because I had read on one blog page years ago that somebody tried making vinegar out of banana peels and said it was really nasty. And so I never tried it. And finally I thought, why am I not trying? I'm just going to do it. So I tried making just a much smaller jar. I usually do half gallons like this, but I decided going with just a quart. I mean, it's not going to kill me to try taking a few banana peels that we were just going to throw directly into compost anyway and try making a vinegar out of it first. I was so happy with the way it turned out. Just one of the best vinegars ever for tartness, for its strength, for its very low pH level, and a nice flavor all around, and aroma as well. So I was very, very happy with that. But because I always have like a lot of mojito mint, sometimes I'll throw that into my vinegars. And so I figured, okay, a banana mint, I might not want to use that in any kind of food because it might taste kind of weird, but I figured it would be a really good vinegar for using in cleaning, because I'll have vinegars I use for using in my laundry, cleaning my floors, my counters, and just about anything. So that was my plan. However, here's the interesting thing about the banana mint vinegar. I made 2 batches and both of them turned out the same way, so I know it wasn't just a fluke with the first one. Is when it got all done and I went to strain it out, I'm like, this has a very, very familiar smell to it, and it didn't smell like bananas and it didn't smell like mint. And I tasted it and it tasted that same way, and I was like, what is this? And it took me a while to grasp it because it just was so unexpected. And here is what it tastes and smells like. It tastes and smells just like concentrated store-bought lemon juice, like you would buy to use in your homemade salsas and various other things. I'm not kidding you. If I'm going to list a brand name, the one is called Real Lemon juice. I've bought organic lemon juice, and same thing. It has that same exact flavor and aroma. I was so shocked. And so what you'll see written on here, banana mint for salsa. So I'll note to save this specifically for adding to salsas, but also anything else where you want to add that tartness and kind of that lemony flavor. And so the really cool thing about this is buying especially the organic lemon juice from the store, and lemons don't grow here. They just don't grow here. And buying the organic lemon juice is really expensive. And I've done that before, but man, it's expensive. And yet this I made for almost free. The only cost in this was a little bit of sugar. I used about a half cup of sugar tops in this. That's it. And everything else was the filtered rainwater that we collect here on our property, and the banana peels that we would just throw into the compost anyway, and the mint straight from my garden. And so look at, I got a half gallon of basically lemon juice that I don't know what that would cost me to buy that much, especially in an organic form from the store. By the way, the banana peels were organic. When it comes to using those for something like this, I'm going to go with the organic ones. So I'm pretty excited about that. Now, with that in mind, let me move on to the next thing, and that is the peach syrup that I just made. So Patrick went down to California just recently to visit and go fishing with his dad, and he took our oldest son with him, and they had a good time. But when he came back, his uncle had some peach trees, and he gave him a whole bunch of peaches. However, as a lot of you know, especially those of you who live in California, it has been very, very hot down there. And by the time he got back up here to Washington with those peaches, they were starting to turn, and it was not looking pretty. So I brought the bag in and immediately started working them up and then processed them so I could turn them into a syrup, and decided they needed just a little bit more flavor. And I thought, why not try my banana mint vinegar that tastes like lemon juice anyway, because that's what I would normally do, is add lemon, either a fresh lemon or lemon juice to something like this, just to really make the peach flavor pop. And it worked exactly like it would had I used lemon juice. And so the flavor is really good, and I'm so excited about this that I now have a way that I know I can have a lemon juice replacement that costs me hardly anything, and it's organic. One thing I like to stir my vinegars with quite a bit is a chopstick, because when you go to get in there and you got a lot of stuff in there, and it's kind of hard to get your wooden spoon down in there because it's just too big. Now you could turn the wooden spoon over and use a handle. I've done that too, but I like to use a chopstick. It's just one of the easiest things to use. Well, what happened is we have a lady that's been buying a lot of the cutting boards as gifts that Patrick makes, and she had a special request for him to make a stick for fermenting. She wanted something similar to a chopstick, but a little thicker and longer than that. So what he did was he made this really long chopstick, because that's pretty much what it looks like. He actually ended up making a few of them just in case more people are interested, so we can put them up on the store. But I'm thinking about keeping one of these for myself, because the chopstick is just a little bit short. I mean, so having something a little bit longer for dealing with half-gallon jars or even full-gallon jars, a longer stick would be a lot easier to use, and you could use either side you want. Now, for her purpose, she was getting it so she could make air pockets in the things that she's fermenting, so that was her purpose. But anyway, we'll be putting at least a couple of these up on the store and see how those do if you're interested. Now, I got a couple more things I'm going to talk about that have nothing to do with fermenting or vinegar, but I got to bring them up again. I know I keep talking about these powdered products, but I told you I was going to keep you updated on what I'm doing with these things. I'm going to do a separate video down the road once I keep trying them in various things. But I'm just going to give you a quick update here on these. One thing is, by the way, since they all look the same in the jar, if you're storing them in the jars, I recommend writing on the front. I mean, at least they're light colored so you can see through it. I don't do this on everything because it's too hard to see, but on something like this, you can see it easy enough. So since I have a lot of these dairy products stored in there, I am writing on the front butter or buttermilk or white cheddar, whatever it is. But I've decided, I've ordered myself up some more Mylar bags, and I think what I'm going to do with those is, instead of storing them in the jars, I'm going to store those ones in the Mylar bags and then save my jars for other things, because the Mylar bags take up less space and they're dark. Now, when you're using Mylar bags, yes, use an oxygen absorber with those unless you have a really good way. I tried it before, even using the food saver, and couldn't get it to work. There are tricks to it, I know, but unless you can vacuum seal with your food saver, your Mylar bags, you're going to want to throw an oxygen absorber in there for certain. So I did order up a set that I'm going to use specifically with the oxygen absorbers for my dairy products. But anyway, my new little thing I tried, if you remember when you watch that video, which I'll link to down below, and it will have all the links to these different powders, I was talking about how the white cheddar, if you try to make it straight, add water to it and use it straight like a dip, it's too salty to do it that way. So a couple of things you can do is you can mix some of your heavy cream powder with that, or even your real butter powder with it. And I tried that yesterday. I tried it with the real butter powder. Next time I'm going to try it with the heavy cream powder. And that will, since there's no salt in this or in the heavy cream powder, then that will break up the saltiness of it and still give it a really nice flavor. But you still get that strong cheddar flavor. So you can just play with the amounts and get, I just kind of kept adding and changing it up a little bit. But the butter powder mixed with the white cheddar powder had just a really great flavor. And I personally really like it. And then the last thing I want to talk about is, a lot of you have been following us know that we offer a lot of our seeds on our store. This year we're really upping the amount of different seeds that we're putting up there. And one of the new things we're adding this year is the glass gem corn, all grown here in rain country in the Pacific Northwest on our own property. I'm really looking at possibly putting up those runner beans, and for certain I'll be putting up some of our snow peas. But I have another seed that I'm going to be putting up that we did not grow ourselves here on our own property. These actually came from Patrick's dad's down in California. So I want to say that up front, because a lot of people go to our store, they assume all of our seeds, which until I get these up on the store, all of our seeds come from our garden. This will be the one seed that will be going up that didn't come directly from our garden, but they are organically grown. So these are just a standard yellow calendula. Here's a picture of it here. I wish Patrick would have got some more pictures of the flowers, but when he was down there, the flowers were just finishing up, so he didn't get them in their full beauty and all the, you know, where the leaves are nice and green, because they're all finishing up down there. But anyway, because I won't be selling any of my own calendula seed this year, because I'm not getting as many flowers this year because of our very weird year, and because the flowers I'm getting, I'm having to dehydrate up and save for specifically for making my skin creams. I can't sacrifice any of my seeds that I'm going to need to grow them for next year. We'll see how next year goes. Hopefully next year I'll have a lot more for sale. I have sold them before, but this year it's just not going to happen. So in order for people at least have some calendula seed, we will be offering these ones that he got from his dad's. And anyway, so at least he'll have that. We're trying to get up as many as possible, because the seeds are going to be the big thing this year. People, you need to get your gardens in, your beans, your corn, your tomatoes, your pumpkins, whatever it is that you really like to grow. Also be looking at your medicinal herbs, things that are good for external, things that are good for internal, or the things like comfrey that are good for both. Which reminds me of one more thing I wanted to mention. I did that video about the comfrey and the benefits of, and I will link to that down below. I did that about a month or so ago. I have since been adding some comfrey leaves to every night to our pot of mint tea. I love peppermint tea. It's our favorite. I will mix it up more in the winter time and start doing our spice teas. But as long as the peppermint's coming in fresh, I keep using it to make tea. And so I've been adding a couple of comfrey leaves, either a couple of small ones or one big one every night to our pot. And I have to tell you, I'm loving how it's making me feel. I'm not having any kind of issues with it. I've been feeling very good drinking it as a tea. I feel like it's really nourishing my body, helping the different things going on in my back and in my wrist to heal up from the inside out. Now, I did also go to a massage therapist. She's a wonderful lady that lives in our area, and she's awesome. And she helped me quite a bit too. But I do believe that taking that comfrey internally is also helping me to heal better from whatever has been going on with my back, which I think most of it's just coming from stress anyway, and all the physical work that I'm doing. And Patrick's been drinking the tea too, and it seems to really been helping him. He does also have an old back injury that he got on the job. It flares up quite a bit, and oftentimes when that flares up, it will cause issues with his neck too, and he'll have days where he can't even turn his head. But you know, the comfrey tea seems to also be helping him, at least best I can tell. If nothing else, we haven't had any negative side effects, and been really pleased with it. So I've been really upping my game, trying to, since the comfrey leaves are still coming in, I'm dehydrating up as much as I can. So not only can I use it in my healing salves, I can also keep using it in our teas throughout the year. And by the way, if you might be a little bit confused, because by the time you're seeing this, it's going to be at least 3 weeks out. I am shooting this video on September 2nd. So I like to stay about 3 to 4 weeks ahead of my videos. That just helps cover for any emergencies. It's just another way I like to be prepared for whatever life may throw our way. Don't forget to check out the different links that I'll be putting down below. Yes, you got to click on either show more, which should be right here if you're on a PC, or on that little tiny gray arrow that will be somewhere over here just below the video screen if you're on a smart device. Then you'll open up the description box and you'll be able to see all the stuff we're putting in there. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.